Tech Talk with Matthew Dickerson. Matthew Dickerson. Tech Talk. Sit back and relax. It's time to talk technology.
Greetings, all you revelers of the second quarter of the century. Just as a brief side note to avoid aggressively typed emails, I am aware that this is the second year of the second quarter of the century, but that doesn't exclude revelling beyond the first 365 days, of course. I only wanted to acknowledge that revelling is likely to happen in January, and this is being our first recording for the year. Well, let the revelling go on. Welcome to Tech Talk with Matthew Dickerson, the only podcast, easy for me to say, with both tech talking and Matthew Dixon, so you know it's going to be good. And here, brimming with tech-related news from the last month, welcome to the microphone, our resident techspert. Welcome, Matthew Dickerson.
Yeah, thank you, and welcome to you again for another exciting year. And I'm glad you picked up on that because, as you said that, I was going, well, hold on, this isn't the first year of the second quarter, but you picked up on that.
That's right. No. So, but the revelling, it's January, so let's revel.
Right. Why not? We can revel anytime, can't we? It doesn't need to be January. We can do it anytime we like, which goes back to the old whole concept when we got all excited about 1999 and we start a new century. Well, no, it's the last year of the century next year, and then 2001 is the first year of the new century, which got lost for a lot of people because they had big parties in 1999, which is fine. That's okay. Party every year, whatever. That's fine. So there's a few things to talk about. We've talked already as you came in and said good day this morning. You said Happy New Year, and it's a real thing for me. Today's Australia Day, in Australia, obviously, across the world, 26th of January, and that's almost the cut-off. So
you say almost the cut-off.
Well,
I reckon 26th of January is probably a little bit beyond the cut-off.
Is it? Oh, gee, because I never know. When you see someone for the first time for the year, let's say it's the 3rd or 4th of January, you say Happy New Year. That's fine.
That's right.
Then you see someone for the first time on the 10th of January. That's probably okay. There's got to be a cut-off in my mind, a rock-solid line.
An agreed cut-off.
That's right.
And having the next important day on the Australian calendar, at least, is the 26th of January. So that makes a logical point, but it still feels late for me. We're beyond 1/24th of the year, right? So if you're halfway through the first month, there's 31 days, and so the 15th or 16th, I reckon that's when when it starts to become uncomfortable to say Happy New Year.
That's your fuzzy cut-off.
Yeah, that's your fuzzy cut-off. And I did say Happy New Year to you as I, was arriving. And
someone did say to me once that it's the first time you see someone for the year, but I mightn't see someone till March. I don't want to say Happy New Year in March, do I? So I wanted to cut off, and that's where I came up with the 26th of January.
You just arbitrarily came up. So that was your doing.
Entirely me. There's not a lot of science behind it.
No, the science, I can see logic halfway through the first month.
Right. Well, I think I was thinking that on Australia Day, I say Happy Australia Day. So I moved on from Happy New Year.
Okay, yeah. So the little glitch in your brain has ticked over and you're fine. Yeah, okay.
So the other quick thing I want to talk about is this is the first time we're getting together since our final show in 2025, and obviously between that time we have Christmas, and often that's a time to do things. And so one of the things I did over that time frame was replace our home server. We've got lots of videos and various things for the kids, school projects, etc. on our home server, because obviously that's what you do at home. You have a home server, and of course that's backed up as a local backup and backed up to the cloud, as you do with all your important stuff. And one of the things that still is intriguing to me that happens is we think we've progressed a long way in technology. We think we've gone a long way down the path and things are so much better. We have.
From the Commodore 64 that people were playing with all those years ago. Thank God we got rid of those tapes, those cassette tapes.
Imagine I do remember when clients used to have to do their backup tapes, and they replace their backup tapes each night. So trying to put all your data on tapes is a long, laborious process. Now a modern method might be to have a USB drive, for example, plugged in, transfer all your data from your server to that as a backup each day. That's right. And then go out to the cloud as well. So I did that. So I replaced the server. Great. Happy days. Brand new server. Modern. Everything modern and whiz bang on it. And plugged in my old USB external drive to do backups, which it worked perfectly. But the new server's got more hard drive space on it. So I thought I better upgrade the external drive. So I replaced it with a new 40 terabyte external drive. Plugged it in. Everything worked perfectly, until I did a reboot of the server, and the server said, you know what, I'm just going to hang here for a while. This is a nice place to be, sitting there.
You got the wheel of death.
Well, no, it didn't get that. It rebooted perfectly to the point where it did its power on self-test, and then said, I don't like what I've got here. I don't like what you've plugged in, so I'm just going to hang here. And I didn't realise I just did a reboot remotely at first and did an update and did a reboot, and I'm going.
So this is technology with personality. I can't abide by it.
And so I did some research, and I'm not going to mention brand names here because I'm not trying to say they've done something wrong, but the research told me that this particular brand of server, their new server range, and this particular USB external drive, put those two separate, they work perfectly. Put those two together, it causes this exact problem.
And there's a frustrating gap.
That's right.
A chasm.
So I've contacted I've gone through every help site I could find, and they all said the same thing. Put A and B together, you'll get a hang. So I've talked to both companies, and I've got some firmware update that I've got to go and do now. But this is where a simple little project, well, it was a simple project, the upgrade process, but you think everything's right until it was a couple of weeks later I did the reboot and went, why isn't that working? What's happened there? What's changed? And because I put that new drive on previously and hadn't actually done a reboot since then, I didn't actually think immediately that this drive was causing the problem, and then went back, traced my steps, finally went, hold on, that's one change I've made. Let's go back there. So technology is wonderful. USB things are wonderful.
Yeah.
Because you can do hot plug and play and all sorts of wonderful things, but still every now and again you just get that with that equals bad. And it's, yeah, so as far as we've come, we still have little funny things like that happen from time to time.
Oh dear, how frustrating.
Yes. Anyway, we'll get that problem solved, but anyone out there that thinks all this technology is beautiful and wonderful, there are still some glitches that occur from time to time.
All right, folks, now in today's episode, we've got a bunch of gadgets fresh off the Imagineers production line. Today, we're bringing you some highlights from the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas this year. Strap yourself in, folks. This podcast is on the way. Now, if there was ever a toy that became a phenomenon, it is the phenomenon of Lego. And the success of Lego can be put down to perhaps three things. Firstly, the precision engineering, 1 micrometre, to the micrometre no less. That allows the successful snap lock connections over thousands of builds. You can build it and break it and build it and break it and build it and break it, and it'll keep going. Secondly, the freeform creativity that allows is just amazing. So the sky is the limit with Lego. And thirdly, its consistent ability to innovate and change with the times. They keep reinventing Lego. And Matthew, Lego has upgraded once again, so the legend continues. Yeah, and this was probably the highlight of CES, the Consumer Electronics Show. Now, CES has got a very proud history. CES is older than you and I. 1967 was the first CES that was held in New York, and it was a focus on basically TVs, because TVs were a bit new back then. It might have been, look at this, it's a colour TV, or it's a 10-inch TV, whatever it might have been in that particular show. But it's been going since 67. In 1998, it got a permanent home in Las Vegas, and now it is big news. This year, for example, about 130,000 people went to CES. Wow. 230,000 square metres of exhibition space and 4,000 exhibitors. People have said that you cannot get anywhere near to every exhibitor over the days that you managed to go to CES. So it's a big thing, and just trying to work out, and again, it's a bit of a CES special today, trying to work out the things that we have in this show from all of those things there. It was actually quite difficult because I saw probably 30 things that I went, oh, they're pretty cool. Oh, that's pretty cool. But we try and get it down to that 9 topics for people. Yeah. So the Smart Brick was one of my favourites from there. Now, I know you do like your Lego, your jigsaw puzzles. Yeah. And I know you do like, unlike myself, you do like putting them together and then putting them apart again. Yeah. I like putting them together. That's what you got to do with Lego. And then gluing it together. and I'm the actually... Craggle. Yeah. I'm with you. I wouldn't ever dream of putting Lego together and then gluing it, because you can reform it. That's it. But jigsaw puzzles, there's only one way for that to go. Yeah, but you can enjoy the thrill of completing the puzzle again and again and again. I hear that. So I can understand why you would love Lego so much. And Lego, I do agree with you. The fact that you've got those bricks that can interlock and change, and they all work perfectly together. 1932, the Lego company started, but it was building wooden toys to begin with. It was 1958 they finally patented that original brick design. And if you had a brick from 1958, it would still work
with Lego of today.
It is amazing, isn't it?
Fantastic. So
And
I
you
love
don't
that.
know how amazing it is until you've bought one of the other knockoff products that are similar but different.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
anyone who's had kids and they've owned sets, and then someone bought you a set that wasn't Lego but it was like Lego, if that stuff got mixed in, you picked it very easily in a big bucket of Lego because it just wouldn't fit.
Yeah, that's right. It'd be something just not. It didn't
And they
quite
wouldn't fit together. They would either lock too hard so you couldn't break them apart again, or they just wouldn't lock together.
Yeah, that's right. And they always felt to me a bit soft. You'd clip them together and it wasn't a click. It was a squeeze.
Nothing satisfying.
That's
Yeah,
right. So
yeah.
I shouldn't be able to give me non-genuine Lego. Just don't like me. They just mix those in with your other Lego products
You
and
give
take that.
non-genuine Lego to your enemies.
That's right.
Just to frustrate them.
And there's some great evidence around Lego. And I've got two of my kids that I've seen who were, out of our 4 kids, 2 in particular love their Lego. One was still playing with Lego, 16, 17 years of age. She used to say, for Christmas, just get me Lego. It was just a given. And my son still played with all his Lego right up until he went to uni, and I think still does now.
Yep.
And there's no surprise because some longitudinal studies.
Adults love Lego too.
Adults love Lego. So I'm not sure if I want
It's
to admit
okay.
this.
You're allowed to do it. If you're an adult out there and you build Lego, that's good.
Well, for Christmas, for our Secret Santa this year, we had a big family Christmas and Secret Santa, so I got 2 Lego presents. One was a retro PC, like a PC from the mid-70s. I thought that was very clever. Another one gave me a Formula One car as Lego. So I went, great. And I sat there, and the Formula One car was a bit too big to build on Christmas Day because it took too long. But the little retro PC, I unboxed it and started building it. You know, build it now? I said, yes, only a 15-minute build. Fantastic. So I sat around and people come along, no, get out of it. It's my Lego. You get your own present. You go and play with that. But there's some longitudinal studies that do show that kids who love construction toys like Lego are statistically more likely to go towards engineering, architecture, computer science, applied sciences. It kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But you and I saying, oh, yeah, that makes sense, is not as good as some of the longitudinal studies that we have. And so my 2 kids that were Lego lovers, one's an architect and one's a software engineer. So there's no surprises there at all, but that's where they've gone into.
But there's logic behind Lego.
Correct.
When you're constructing something, and some people have to follow the instructions, and that's fine, but others like to freeform build, and there's logic. And you try to build stuff and it doesn't work, so you have to tweak it and whatnot, and that's the beauty of Lego.
Yeah, that's right. That's what's great about it. One of the challenges for Lego that they see, this isn't me talking about that, but one of the challenges that they see is that they've got some competition. They've got all these interactive things that go bing.
Yeah.
They're connected to the internet. They've got screens.
Yep.
And it's a bit easier to sit back on the couch with a controller and just play a game than it is to sit on the ground and actually pull apart all your bricks and play with them.
Yeah.
And Lego did have a little bit of a hiccup in the early 2000s where they weren't sure where they were headed. They weren't sure what the company was going to look like. And they almost went broke, which sounds incredible for a company the size of Lego and that's been around since 1932.
For sure. But they started to create builds that had not enough pieces in them. Like the stuff was already moulded and shaped pretty much the way it was supposed to look.
Correct.
So the builds were too easy. And then they realised, oh, hang on a second. If you're the sort of person who wants the easy build, then Lego's not for you.
Yeah, and they had 2 problems with that. One of the problems was there was a greater cost of manufacturing because, as you said, they were constructing pieces that were unique to that particular set. And the other part of that was where else were you going to use that? So they cut back and said, let's make pieces. Sure, there might be some different pieces, but let's make it so we can reuse it across a whole range of different advantages for manufacturing. And exactly as you said, you want the creativity there. You don't want someone going, oh, good, I just clip those 2 pieces together and that's my build finished. You want people to be actually working on through those things. The other thing they tried was Legoland and a whole range of things outside the core product, and they lost their way a little bit. So they're back on it now. They're saying, let's go for it in terms of we want to do our core product, but this is a variation on their core product, and I love it. And I love the fact that you probably couldn't have built this smart brick, I'm going to say 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, because the technology that's in this smart brick is quite incredible. So let's talk about the smart brick itself. What it's got is one smart brick, one normal-sized smart brick, and it's got sounds, lights, different behaviours. It's got accelerometers, light sensors, sound sensors. It's got a battery inside it, and it's got some intelligence to be able to interact with other pieces. Even the minifigure. The minifigure was a big thing back in 1978 when that was introduced.
Yeah.
But this can also interact with minifigures. You can have smart minifigures now. So all of that technology, the processing power that's in this brick is contained within one of the lugs. So that's shrunk down to that size. So a couple of things here that I think you wouldn't have been able to do, say, 10, 15 years ago. One is get the processing power it needs down to something that's small. But the rechargeable, wireless rechargeable battery in this unit is integral to the operation of it. You can imagine if Lego brought out something that needed a button-sized battery, for example. You only need to have one accident where some child unfortunately has an accident with a button battery, and that would be the end of that Lego piece.
For sure.
So having rechargeable, wireless rechargeable batteries means you're never taking it apart. It's all contained wholly within the smart brick. And then you can program it, not via a program, like a complicated program, but just via an app. You connect to that smart brick and you say what you want it to do when certain actions happen. And it's very easy to program. So if this, then that, it's about that. But it starts people thinking about that sort of coding, that sort of programming at a very simple level.
Yeah.
And some of the examples I saw, simple things. So you build a plane, you've got a smart brick in the plane. When you turn the plane upside down, as you play with it, then it goes upside down, it makes a different noise to when it's up the right way. Or you might have a trophy, and the trophy is set to go to a certain colour, and then you put a smart brick in some cars, you race those cars, whichever one goes across the finish line first, you say that's the red car, the brick turns red in the actual trophy. So just simple things like that.
I like that. Did you say that it's got an accelerometer in it as well?
Accelerometer in it,
See, as a physics teacher, we do lots of experiments and things like that with cars and trolleys and stuff like that, and having an accelerometer that is just so easy and accessible and so easy to use. And Lego did a whole line of robotics, but that was quite an expensive kit. Now, just have a brick that is interchangeable in any other piece of work that you're using.
So I was thinking about that from an educational perspective, where we'll go with that. And I thought someone in a classroom coming in saying, okay, you've got 10 kids in your class, there's 10 smart bricks. Build whatever you want. I don't care. Build a car, build a plane, build a train, whatever you want. We're going to build something that moves. And now we're going to test a few concepts here and just see how we go with that. So I don't know how much they've progressed down that educational path yet, but I absolutely see there'll be a place for that, because you've got some basic programming and then some basic outcomes from that programming using things like light sensors, accelerometers, etc. So very clever, and I can only wait to see it. It doesn't come out till March. You can pre-order them now, but basically it'll be out in March.
This is going to go gangbusters.
I think so. And it's a pretty good place to start. The couple of first kits that are coming out with it are Star Wars kits. Star Wars kits are popular anyway.
Yeah.
Put this into those kits and suddenly you've got something that's absolutely fantastic. So well done to Lego. Yeah. Well done to any company that's always trying to reinvent themselves.
Yeah, that ability to reinvent themselves.
Yeah, that's right. That's integral. So you don't fail going forward. Don't say, well, we've always done it this way, we'll keep doing it this way, and then surprise when you fail.
Why they've been going since the late 50s.
Yeah, that's right. So very clever. I can hardly wait to get hold of one and play with it. And I like the idea that you've got kids dragged away from screens. Here I'm on a tech podcast talking about being dragged away from your screen, but I do like the fact that you'll have kids sitting on the ground playing rather than just sitting on a screen doing nothing.
This smart brick, does it hurt when you stand on it in bare feet?
Well, one of the things I did actually wonder about was, could you program your own sounds into it? And everything I found said no, there's certain sounds that are already in there.
Right.
But I thought programming a swear word into it, when you tread on it in the middle of the night, lighting up in colour, saying a swear word, would be the perfect outcome for a Lego piece.
Absolutely. So this is where we're at now. In 5 years' time, you can have swearing Lego bricks.
Maybe you can have the sensing around it so that as you're going to put your foot down, it starts saying something before you put your foot on it.
Stop, wait.
That's right. Don't put your foot any further. Whether it'd be good enough to do that. But that's the universal known of Lego, isn't it? That you step on it in the middle of the night on your way to the toilet, it hurts.
Lego.
That's right.
Children of the 70s and 80s will remember the sheer delight of whistle pops, that musical lollipop that you could really annoy your parents with. The best ones had a slide in the stick so that you could change the note even. That was all good, tasty fun, but the pinnacle to it was really just that note-changing slide. And except for the 3 children out of 1 or 2 billion who could actually play 3 blind mice, musical candy had reached its zenith, and so it plummeted into sickly sweet nostalgic obscurity. But like a phoenix rising from the ashes, musical lollipops are back like we've never seen before, Matt, thanks to modern technology.
I don't remember the slide ones.
You
That's
don't
flash.
remember those?
I remember the
you
whistle
didn't eat
ones.
enough lollies.
But the slide ones,
Yeah.
what sort of place
It
were
was
you
like-
coming from?
Yeah, that was the first time I came across someone with a slide one. It was like, where do I get one of those?
That's right.
And they just pointed to the corner store, you know. It's like, well, I haven't got enough money now. Who's got money for me so I can
You
spend?
Victorians live flash. In New South Wales, we only just had a single whistle.
Yeah.
So this is the next level of Lollipop, and it's cleverly designed so that parents won't care. The Lollipop itself is something that you get I would say as a promotional item. They're not that expensive, about $14 they're worth. But you get the Lollipop.
Sorry, the lollipop is worth $14.
$14, that's right. So I don't see it necessarily being in a corner store.
Yeah,
I see
right.
it being more used as a promo
In
item.
a boutique lolly shop.
Maybe, again, Victoria. The lollipop itself looks like a normal lollipop. You get it, you put it in your mouth, you suck on it. When you do that, you start hearing music. And you think, where is that coming from? So you take the lollipop out and you can't hear anything. You're looking around and wondering what's happening. Am I somehow in some third dimension here or fifth dimension? And you put it back in your mouth and you hear music again. When you put it in your mouth, it activates its audio on bone conduction. So very difficult for you to hear anything. Now, you've heard my swimming headphones. that
Yeah,
I
I've seen
wear.
people wearing these bone conduction, and I want to get a pair myself, but these bone conduction headphones.
They're quite cool. And I've used them where you put them a metre away from you when you can't hear anything. You put them over your ears, on the back of your ear where it sits on the bone, and you can hear music, pretty good quality. You get in the swimming pool and you can swim and you can still hear pretty good quality. So the bone conduction concept is good, although everyone says it's nowhere near as good a quality as us hearing with our normal hearing, but it's still not too bad. But the whole idea of this is you put it in, you can't choose the music, you can't connect to it with Bluetooth. It's not designed to be something that you can program and play around with. Again, I would just think it's a novelty item where you have it in show bags. Come to our stand, get this novelty lollipop, and you put it in your mouth and you start hearing some songs and maybe some advertising.
So
for
you
the
can't
company.
choose your song yet.
No, not yet. Well, that's right, not yet. But it's designed to be used, suck the lollipop and then throw it out. So just like a normal lollipop stick, but in the centre of that lollipop, there's enough technology that it vibrates with bone conduction audio, so you can listen to a song, obviously very small chip on board with a couple of songs. It's probably got 10 minutes worth of music on there. It's really the first iteration of here's another novelty promotional item. That's what I saw it as anyway. And CES, obviously, you're trying to get people to come to your stand out of the 4,000.
Well, if you're giving away lollipops.
That's right, lollipops. But I just love the idea of here's the lollipop and you don't know what's going to happen. You just suck on it. Oh, where's that music coming from? I think it'd be a great surprise to you hearing this music come through. Now, I did read some information about this, and some people were worried about it shattering your teeth. Let me inform listeners out there that it's not vibrating like a hammer drill. It's vibrating very subtly enough that you'll hear something through the bones in your head.
The sugar might do something to your teeth. But,
The sugar might be
it'll be a
more
longer,
damage to your
it'll
teeth.
take over a longer time. Yeah.
That's right, but the greater risk is absolutely the sugar in the lollipop rather than the bone conduction from the actual lollipop itself. But I just thought we've got this technology that we've developed, and people come up with different ideas for it. And already 2026, I'm saying it now, people just come up with left field ideas. But I just thought from a promotional product, because I've been on enough conferences over the years, you've been on enough conferences over the years, everyone's trying to give away pens or chocolates or something to get you to their stand. I just imagine going to that lollipop stand, go and get that lollipop stand, and just the novelty of putting that lollipop in your mouth and listening to the music and listening to something like that. And then if it was me, I'd have music, and every 30 seconds I'd have an ad for that company. Come back to stand 17 and pick up our latest product, whatever it might be.
But there's got to be some level of pressure there. You've got to have it between your teeth, upper and lower jaw.
You've got to have
I'm just thinking about how I suck on a lollipop. It's moving around my mouth. The music goes on, the music goes off. The music goes on, the music goes off.
Well, from the reports I read, it seemed pretty much that once you put it in your mouth, there must have been enough sensitivity that it then started giving you some form of music. Now, if you've got it against your teeth, presumably it would give you, so if you've got it between your teeth, that would give you better quality sound.
Right,
but I think there'd be enough in your mouth. But I haven't played with one yet. I need to get one.
Well,
we've
we've got to test it out, haven't we?
We have, that's right. So, yeah, I love it.
And then I'm going to get you a whistle pop with a slide on.
Go and get me one of those, yeah. I want to see if I can play. I thought it was Mary Had a Little Lamb was what
Mary
you tried
Had
to
a
play.
Little Lamb or Three Blind Mice or something like that. But you'll annoy enough people before you get to any musical stage. essence of any innovation is in being able to see potential emerge from an everyday object. Some of us, including myself, have zero capacity for this, but every now and then something comes along that surprises even the tech boffins. Sometimes it's something that seems so plainly obvious that you cannot believe it's taken this long to produce this thing. Like a pair of dual headphone/speakers, Matt.
So sometimes I think they listen to my music and I've got headphones on.
And you want to share it with everyone.
I want to share it. I want to go, oh, this is a really good song. Hey, darling, wife, child, friend, whatever, come and listen to this. And so then you put one cup and you get uncomfortably close to someone and you have the other cup so they can just hear it, or you take it off your head and they put it on their head and they go, well, that's no good because I can't hear it now. So it probably sounds like a first world problem.
Yeah, it is definitely a first world problem, but
I'm not sure that
I
happens
still think
to me.
it's very, very cool.
It is.
There's been enough times where I've been wearing headphones and then thinking, oh no, I need to pull these buds out. I need to, just let the music out a little bit more. I want to be able to hear something else that's happening around me, perhaps as well.
And that's probably more the point, is that you want to hear, you're talking to someone, or there's something else happening, you just want to be aware of it. So these headphones, and again, it seems obvious, you've got headphones that have got the ability to connect to something external like Bluetooth. You've got a battery in there. You've got the chip inside it ready to do what it needs to do. And then you've just got either very low volume speaker inside for headphones because you don't want to blast your ears apart, or a high volume speaker because you want to listen to it. And the clever part about this is because I thought, well, what about if you activated the speaker while it was on your ear? That might be just a bit loud, even though it's projecting outwards, might be a bit loud that close to your ear. So very cleverly, the manufacturers were one step ahead of me and thought the way we'll do it is so the only way you can turn them into speakers is by clipping them together. So the two cups of the two headphones clip together and that activates the speaker. And I went, oh, that's clever. So there's no way I could possibly somehow accidentally hit a switch or hit a software button and turn them into speakers while they're on my head. I have to switch the two clips together. Unless my head takes up zero volume, then I'm never going to be able to do that with them on my ears.
And the other thing is here, as I know we've sort of talked about practical purposes for it, is that there's sometimes where I want to have headphones and sometimes I want to have a speaker. To disconnect from your headphones because you now need the speaker. Now you've got the one device. It's the same thing. It's one and the same. It's just you convert one to the other. And you don't have to worry about disconnecting or unpairing or whatever.
Yeah, that's right. And theoretically, with Bluetooth, that works perfectly, but sometimes it doesn't quite work perfectly.
Sometimes it's frustrating.
That's right. So you're right. You've got it connected. You just go, today I'm in headphone mode, clip the two together. Speaker mode, clip the two together. Speaker. Sometimes I'm in headphone mode, just put them on my ears, and it's going to be headphone mode. So very clever for protection of ears, very clever as a universal device. And I think gadget clutter is something that, well, I certainly see because I buy lots of little gadgets, but I think people in general are getting a bit of that gadget clutter. I've got this device for this circumstance, this one over here. Oh, I've got so many different gadgets. And then, as you say, you've got to charge them, you've got to keep them charged, you've got to connect them. Oh, it's all such a hassle. And sometimes you end up using the non-optimal device because it's charged or it's connected, and I'll just go with that. One of the things I found fascinating was that the amount of time, the amount of battery life you get out of it in headphone versus speaker mode, which gives you an idea of how much extra power is used. They quote about 200 hours of use in headphone mode, but only 10 hours in speaker mode. And that just gives you an idea of how much extra volume, how much extra work you've got the speaker doing when they're in speaker mode compared to headphone mode. That's why headphones, you can have little tiny earbuds that give you good battery life because they don't need much battery. There's not much movement.
Not a lot of output there.
No, that's right.
But 10 hours is still a decent party there.
Oh, absolutely right. So I'm not being critical at all. I'm just saying that there's a lot more power that's used to actually move that air from a speaker to move it to be able to hear it meters away compared to millimeters away. So, good idea. I'm not sure I'll rush out and buy one today.
No, but I just think it's interesting that it's taken so long for someone to think, oh, why would you have separate headphones and a separate speaker?
Yeah.
Why couldn't you make them one and the same?
That's right. And now they have.
Yeah. For so many of us, the tool of choice these days is the phone. It's the portable office that fits neatly in your pocket. But if you're like me, the interminable frustration is that the screen is just too small. I won't email on anything smaller than a laptop, and reading long articles on a phone, forget about it. But Matt, Samsung, they're getting closer to a solution, so I hear.
They are getting better and better all the time. Foldable phones first came out. Well, there was a Royal Flex Pi that came out at the end of 2018, but it was a bit bulky, a bit fragile. It was probably more a demonstration that you could fold a phone. The first commercial
2018 was a long time ago. That was
before this podcast started. It's that long ago. 2019 was when Samsung came out with their first foldable phone, and it wasn't great. I remember getting them in and going, wow, look at that, it folds, and I can see a bit of a crease down the middle there, and it's not too bad. And so we had one of our staff using that, and about 2 weeks later, they said, oh, look at this. It's just peeling a little bit here on the edge there. So that 2018 model wasn't great, and I must admit it wasn't that popular. Not many people bought it because it was pretty much bleeding edge, and it was right there. And I actually wondered at the time, are they going to be able to get it that you can fold it open enough times that it's actually going to be of any use? I thought, gimmick, great, but no, I'm not sure.
Got a long way to go before it becomes practical.
Correct. Now jump to 2025. Samsung had brought out their foldable and flippable phones, and the foldable, I'm doing with my hands here, which is useless to anyone listening. But
let me tell you, folks, it's a very good mime that he's doing.
That's right. Thank you, James. It's like a book, if you like, so it folds out like a book. The flippable phone, this is the Galaxy Z Flip phone, flips like the old clamshell, the old Motorola clamshells that you see people in the old movies where they pull the phone out of their pocket and then flip it with that wrist action, again, showing my hand action there, and flip open there and look very suave.
Yeah.
That's right. So they've had their flip and their fold, and they've been quite successful with those, and they seem to last very well now. We've got lots of clients with them and lots of our staff with them, and they're good. They don't get creases in the middle. In fact, when you look at the screen when it's open, whether it be a fold or a flip, you look at it and you go, if I didn't know that was the middle section right there, I'd be hard-pressed telling where it's being folded each time. So they've gotten very good now. But if you can fold it once, surely folding it twice is better. That makes sense, doesn't it? If one of something is good...
sorry. When you fold it, so you fold it laterally and then you just fold it vertically.
Well, maybe just folding it in and then in again, you're taking an A4 piece of paper and you turn it into a little newsletter where you fold it in and fold it in again.
Into thirds, yeah?
Into thirds, that's right.
Okay.
So that's what they've now released and announced to the world. They've now got a TriFold. And here's the thing that gets exciting. So I
can get the print big enough now to be able to read a long article.
I can't make any promises here. But this is where we're at. I'm with you. I like still a computer. I've got a couple of 32-inch screens on my desk, so I like a bit of real estate there to look at. But I spoke to someone over Christmas, a friend of mine, and their job was to run a tennis tournament. And they said, I run it from my phone. I went, surely there's parts. But they've got staff doing things like the draw and things where you need a bit more screen real estate. But just for taking care of day-to-day things, their phone was all they used. I went, I couldn't go that far. But having said that, you've now got, and it's a bit embarrassing when you go through the actual security at an airport, you pull your notebook out of your bag. I have a second screen that I travel with, so when I'm at a motel, I've got two screens. So I pull my second screen out, then I pull my tablet out, and then I put my phone there. And
the customs officers there, or the security guards just watching you and quietly judging.
Well, people behind me are going, today would be good. My plane leaves in 4 hours. Can you hurry up in front there? So there's a lot that you do, but if you had a TriFold phone, and here are the numbers that get me excited, as a normal phone, as you look at it like a normal phone, you look at that and you go, that looks like a slightly thicker smartphone. It's a 6.5-inch screen. So that's comparable to normal smartphone screens, Samsung, Apple, etc. So a 6.5-inch screen, that's reasonable. But then when you fold it out, it becomes a 10-inch tablet. 10-inch.
Yeah, that's
from
pretty
6.5-inch screen.
Yeah.
And the thickness isn't too bad. So a normal Samsung S25, for example, is about 8.2 millimeters thick. When this is folded up, it's 12.9 millimetres. So it's thicker. But you look at that and you go, well, it's a bit thicker, but there's other phones on the market that are a bit thicker as well. So 12.9 millimetres, that's not too bad. But then, look at this. And you fold and you fold and you go, there's a tablet.
Yeah.
So that's pretty exciting. Now, what I'm intrigued by is that not many manufacturers, and I'm thinking of Apple here in particular, haven't reacted by bringing out a similar product. Now, when someone comes out with a great idea, sometimes people go, well, that's a great idea. Take advantage of it now, because next year every other company will bring out the same idea because they came up with it independently. Sure thing, but obviously they just stole the idea. Whether Apple don't believe it's a good idea, whether other companies just haven't been able to get the actual folding working to the same level, I'm not sure. But Samsung have really got the market to themselves. The only killer, and I think they'd sell a lot more if they could get the price down. This price at the moment is about $3,800.
Wow. Yeah.
So expensive.
Okay.
And even at that, the insiders are saying that Samsung are probably losing money at that price, which seems expensive for a mobile phone.
But you've got to get your hardware out there if you want it to catch on.
Correct. So I think that's exactly what Samsung's doing, is they're saying, well, we'll get it out there. If we can get enough volume going, 3,800, we can make money on it. But at the moment, that's probably the only thing holding it back, is just that high price tag. But I do love the concept. And
It'll
I think
be
it's
interesting
fantastic.
to see if it catches on.
Yeah.
Perhaps Apple are just waiting to see if it does catch.
Well, it's been around for a few years now. The
Yeah.
other two folds have been around for a
Yeah.
few years. So is it catching on? Probably still, because of the price tag, it's probably still not catching on. Samsung, I'm sure, sell more S25s than they do their Fold or their Flip. But if
Maybe
they-
it's just too fat for an Apple. Apple's
maybe.
going, oh, we like the slim line.
considering they brought out their Apple Air, their iPhone 17 Air, they don't call it iPhone 17, but just to put it in context, iPhone 17 Air they brought out at the end of last year, which was designed to be incredibly thin, although the camera part's a bit fatter, but incredibly thin for the rest of it. They're kind of going the other way, maybe as a direct reaction to what Samsung's doing, having foldable and flippable phones. So anyway, have a look at that TriFold. Go and find a video of it. It's just quite fascinating watching this thing that's all sitting there as one smartphone and then fold out to this big tablet.
Very cool. Competition in the AR space is really hotting up. After stumbling off the original first-generation Google glasses, smart glasses have well and truly become a thing now with higher resolution and faster frame rates, and they've become much more marketable. Matt, Tony Stark wishes he had this sort of tech.
He does indeed. Can we just build Tony Stark's suit? Can we just all have that?
We're nearly there.
That's right.
We've got at least the glasses part where you can see the AR.
The flying part might be a little bit harder for us.
We'll
but-
get to that. We'll get to
That's
that. But
right.
we've got the glasses.
We can't even get the hoverboard. How are we going to get a flying suit? So there are a dozen competing models of smart glasses shown at CES. When you've got that many companies bringing something out, you go,
It's caught on at last.
Yeah, that's right. It's getting there. And the ones I looked at in particular, there's a couple of models from a company called Xreal, X-R-E-A-L, Xreal. And their R1 AR gaming glasses look pretty impressive. They're getting the prices down, as happens with technology as it matures. But what impressed me the most was the estimation from Xreal, so this is an independent, this is from the company themselves, said that if you've got these glasses on and you're looking at a display, it's the equivalent of looking at a 171-inch TV at 4 metres. Now,
Wow.
I don't have room in my lounge room to put
No.
a 171-inch TV.
That's a ridiculously large television.
That's right. And I would sit maybe at 3 metres from my TV normally. So go back a metre and then now that's my whole lounge room wall, I think, is 171 inches. So if you can get something that size on glasses, that's starting to get pretty impressive. And so I mentioned before, I have my two monitors that I travel with, my normal notebook monitor and the monitor that I travel with. Imagine getting to the stage where I don't have a second monitor. I don't have a first monitor. I just put a pair of glasses on and I sit there with a device.
A keyboard, maybe?
A keyboard,
Yeah,
that's it.
maybe a mouse, yeah.
Sure, if I didn't have the display on my computer, that takes up a lot of power. Then I reckon I could have a computer that's not much bigger than my keyboard. The battery inside that will be enough with the processor, etc., to run that and then just transmit the signal to my glasses. I'd even be happy with plugging them in to begin with, rather than having a wireless connection. I'm even happy plugging in my glasses to my keyboard and looking very strange on an aeroplane.
Tony Stark would just be waving his hand in the air, and there'd be a virtual keyboard that you could type out on.
True, and you might use voice recognition, but on the plane that might get a bit tiresome.
Yeah.
Send a message to James, tell him that we're...
Next year is going to get irritated.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think the people in the 5 metre radius are going to get irritated with me and let me know about it in no uncertain
Yeah,
terms.
sure.
But surely we've got to get to that point soon where we
Yeah.
don't have a screen, a good old fashioned. Like, I'm limited. I've got a 17-inch screen that I travel with. That's pathetic. 17 inches, 171 inches. That's a bit better. So maybe we get to that point not too far away. So these glasses, back to the glasses, rather than me fantasising for a moment, they've got Bose speakers built in over the ears, so you don't need to have earbuds in. You can hear the world around you. So again, these smart glasses, typically they want to have the sound around you, not necessarily in your ears, because you do want to have
You've got to
augmented
have
reality.
peripheral awareness.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
That's the whole idea about it too.
You want to be able to see something and integrate that with the technology in the glasses and what you're seeing through those glasses. So the whole integration of all of that, and sound's a part of that. So I just think we're getting there. And if we could do that, if we could replace that screen with our glasses, I think augmented reality is fantastic, but then replacing our screens with glasses, just imagine walking into an office space and seeing all these people there typing furiously on a keyboard and no screen in front of them. It would look very strange, but very cool.
Yeah, but just the e-waste as well, the volume of e-waste now. So big screens have got a life. And anyone who's ever been down to the e-waste section of their local waste depository knows that, these things are taking up a lot of space.
So you're saying if I've got shares in companies that build flat panels of whatever size, maybe it's time to start considering getting out of those shares, because maybe getting glasses. That's right.
The definition of the terms human relationship and companion are set for a modern overhaul as AI blurs the line further and further. Relationships are, of course, an innate human need, but for one reason or another, they're not necessarily accessible for all of us as a rule. And it's all very well and good for commentators to shake their fists and pass judgment, but the fact is that there is a strong market for AI companions. And so, Matt, there is a space for specifically designed targeted AI soulmates, like Lepro Amy.
I'll tell you in about 6 months' time whether there is space for something like this. It's been launched at CES. It's exciting for people that look at this, or the company that's doing this. Will there be a market for it? I don't know. And see, this is where
I think there probably is. Yeah.
Well, and maybe this is where I think I've got it a little bit wrong. I've been thinking about AI sometimes with a minor fear factor that you'll start to have relationships with AI. And we've seen examples of that already, where people are getting counselling to try and convince them that this AI is not really a sentient being, a human, someone they're interacting with. It's just a computer, but it learns about them. And so I've been a bit fearful about that, but maybe that's completely wrong. And that's exactly what this company's done. They've said, well, let's lean into it. Let's take advantage of the fact that it's very easy for an AI tool to create a relationship. It's a friend that will always be there for you. It'll always remember the story you told it last week. In fact, remember in too much detail sometimes. It'll always be there and supportive. And we've talked about it before. AI is your greatest cheerleader. AI is so supportive of everything that you're going to do, maybe sometimes dangerously supportive. Sure, skydiving, you should do that. That's a great thing to go and do.
This is the problem, is that sometimes it reinforces some bad ideas. Now, I'm not going to say skydiving is a bad idea, but there was a case, and it was on the news last night, I think, or just recently at least, about a guy who actually killed his mother, and it was, and then he committed suicide himself. But it was all based on AI giving him confirmation. Yes, you've got every reason to be paranoid about this.
Yep.
And he was saying, well, what are my next steps? I think I should do this, this, and this. And the situation snowballed to the position where he felt like he had to end it all for his mother and himself.
Yep.
And then ChatGPT, I think, was on the line, the next on the line there.
Yeah. So, and this is the thing, it does support you with so many things. Whatever idea you have going into business, I mean, that's a very drastic, a very sad example there.
Yeah.
But even other things, I think about leaving my job and going, yeah, you should do that. Go and take it on.
So I guess we need AI to learn how to be a bit more discerning.
Well, I think we need AI to actually be like our mother and actually tell us how it is. No, that's a silly idea.
Yeah.
Don't leave your job. You've got a really good job. And what do you know about business anyway? So whatever it might be. So we need AI to be a bit more discerning, to be a bit harsher. But see, the thing is, there's competition out there. And every AI tool wants to be the friendly one, because I'm more likely to use the friendly one. I used that other AI tool the other day and it told me I was an idiot. I'm not going back to that one. So the old joke is, if you want someone to think you're intelligent, agree with everything they say. Oh, that James is so intelligent. Everything I said he agreed with, and that's kind of what AI does.
And it's like the guy who's handing out the lollies. Everyone wants to be friends with Willy Wonka and not the lady who's handing out the Brussels sprouts and the broccoli.
That's right. So in this particular example, they've built a little 8-inch OLED display that gives you a lifelike avatar. So the idea is you sit this on your desk, on your kitchen table, in your lounge room, wherever you want your friend to be. So it's a physical presence. It's not something that's on your phone, on your computer, that's you're carrying around with you all the time. It's a physical presence. So you go into the kitchen and you have a chat to your AI friend, and then you go back to whatever you're doing. You go back and watch a movie in the lounge room or go out for a run or whatever. But it's something that is a physical presence. And I don't mind that idea so that you're conscious that it's there and now it's not, rather than AI tools that are on your phone that you feel like are with you all the time.
Yeah.
That's right. I need a break from my best friend just every now and again. So I want to go have coffee with my mates. I love my wife dearly, but I don't want to spend 24 hours a day with my wife.
This thing that keeps confirming for me or affirming that I'm making the right decisions. And
yeah, that's right. Every decision is the right decision. So it's got a couple of cameras on the front. It tracks your eye movement. So it can create the illusion of a gaze between you and the AI tool. So you can be sitting there watching it. and it's all designed in this particular iteration for emotional presence, not helping you with tasks, not productivity, but it's really about just chatting to you. The focus for this one is all about remote workers, lonely people, maybe aged care facilities, people that are in a lonely situation to make them feel better. And maybe in the past they might have rung a support service, they might have rung a friend, but now they've got their AI tool to talk to. And again, maybe I'm starting to do a little bit of myself, but sometimes when I'm doing a business task, I'll run that past some of my staff or some of my managers. And now I sometimes actually run the idea past an AI tool to say, here are the couple of things I'm thinking of doing, but what I'm very conscious of doing is giving alternative A and alternative B. Because if I just say I'm thinking about doing alternative A, yeah, it's a great idea, go for it, even though it might be a silly idea. So I'm conscious when I actually ask advice is to say, I'm thinking of A or B, which one do you prefer? And that puts AI in a tough spot. It doesn't like making decisions. It likes to give you the pros and cons for both, which, again, crystallises it in my mind sometimes, makes it clarifying.
But that's a good idea too. I mean, in one way, I mean, you're forcing it to make a decision or to help you to make a decision.
Yeah.
But it means that you've got to think doubly hard if that's going to be the routine, because you've got always got to come up with a couple of options.
Yeah.
What if you can only think of one option? Is this a good idea or is it a bad idea?
Or not, yeah. And I think in general, AI would say, yes, it's a good idea.
Yeah.
And hopefully this particular avatar is not designed to be giving you big picture life advice. It's really there as just someone to chat to. And you might say, I had this incident at work today, this happened. But again, they're focused on remote workers. So you're probably not going to chat to someone. But sometimes something happens at work, even if you are working by yourself, where, I had this thing and I was doing this certain thing and I didn't think it was going to work, but it did. I'm really happy about that. And you want someone to say, well done, good work, you did a good job today. So maybe that emotional presence. But I can see them being used in aged care facilities. I can see people having them in their rooms. I mean, I go and visit some aged care facilities and I do talk to people that come out to the group environment. But sometimes there'll be people in their room and someone will say, Mary didn't want to come along today. She just said she'd want to stay in a room for the day. And they probably don't have a lot of interaction with external people, but having someone on their desk they chat to, they could make it look like one of their kids, for example. They could chat to their kids all day long. Yeah. And they'd probably get just the same answers that their kids would give them as, again, that learning process.
Well, that persona could be anyone. It could be their parents as well. It
could be.
Significant people from their own childhood. Now, I'll tell you where my mind went with this is long-distance space travel. And if you're on Mars and you're trying to communicate with people on Earth, there's a lag. There's no way you can avoid a lag, which makes for very stilted conversations.
Yeah,
when you're waiting, 15 seconds for a reply, or 30 seconds for a reply, or a minute for a reply, then that breaks down conversations can't happen naturally. Yeah. So if we're going to travel to Mars, I think that there's a big place for this.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was young, my brother moved to America when I was a couple of years old, not because I was born and then he had to get away, I don't think, but he moved to America, and we used to have conversations back in the early days that were via satellite and expensive, and it would be, hi, how are you going? And you think, he hasn't heard me. So I'd start repeating the question and then the answer be coming back. So it was very hard. So we actually got to the point where we used to say over, just like on a two-way radio. How are you going with there today, Phil? Over. Okay, I'll wait for the answer. That was with a second or so of delay because it is so unnatural. But you're right, when you start to get to Mars, you're talking about more than a second delay. You're talking about that distance has got to travel is a lot longer. We haven't invented a wormhole yet, so we've got to rely on the speed of light, 3 by 10 to the 8 metres per second. So we're getting that delay, and it would be hard if all your conversations were with a large delay between the question and answer or anything that might be happening.
And it's going to happen eventually where we travel deeper into space.
Yeah.
People, there's debating about it right now, but it's going to happen eventually. Yep. It's one of the innate human things is to explore what we haven't explored.
So interesting. So look, it's fascinating. So maybe I'm getting it all wrong. Maybe we should be saying, let's embrace the AI friend. And this is one way to do it.
Now, here's a story for the off-gridders out there. Serial campers may be familiar with a company called Jackery. Well, Jackery have 3 new portable power solutions for those times when you need to go off-road, but still want to keep a grasp on at least some of the 21st century's creature comforts. Matt, these power solutions themselves won't make you a glamper, but they may go part of their way there at least.
Well, I think the main thing they do is they give a bit of peace and quiet. So there's nothing worse than you get to this beautiful spot overlooking the lake, you set up your camp, and then
fire up the diesel generator. How's the Serenity?
How's the Serenity? And how often do you see that or hear that at a campsite?
It just is, isn't it?
And they're getting better. The ones that are running on an internal combustion engine are better, and they tuck them away behind the camper van or whatever, but there's still that little hum in the background.
Still there, yeah.
So it was 10 years ago that Jackery said, well, we don't need to do that anymore. We've got batteries that are good enough now that we could just build, what the heck, a big battery pack. So they started coming out with big lithium-ion power stations specifically for camping and probably off-grid use as well, but mainly for camping. So you don't worry about the little generator that you load up with you. You just put in your charged up power station and then you've got that there. So you get there, the kids can watch TV and have the creature comforts of home while they're out camping without that noise in the background. So they, at CES, they've been around for 10 years. They've had their power stations, but they had some new ones they came out with, just some new twists on some of those. So one of them was a power station on wheels with 300-watt retractable solar panels. So the idea is that this can move around and find the sun in your yard, or while you're out camping, it can move and find the sun in between the trees. Even if you go for a bit of a walk out somewhere, you can say, follow me along, and it'll follow along, charging up as it goes. I did actually wonder about that one, though, because I thought the amount of power you're using on a motor to drive that along
to drive the wheels as well
might be more than you're generating from the solar panels on top. But I thought the idea of just having it move somewhere and sit in the sun. So you set up your campsite, you're in the shade because you like the shade. Oh, look, 50 metres over there, there's a bit of sun. Okay, Jackery, just go over there, you direct it over there and you set up there and you set the solar panels up, charge up. And then what do you do for power? You have a long extension lead. So there are a few flaws I saw on the plan, but I like the idea that they're still coming up with different ways.
But often the power packs are being used for things that you need at night, running lights and things like that.
Yeah,
so,
that's right.
Yeah.
So the panels on there will tilt and track the sunlight. So I thought that was good. Let's go out hiking today. We set up our little device here in the sun, and it'll follow the sun across while we go out and do our hike. So we come back at night, exactly as you said, ready to be able to power up a different device. So I thought that wasn't a bad one. They've got another one that's a gazebo, a solar gazebo. So I'm not sure if I take this down to the beach with me because it might be a bit too much mucking around to set up, but a gazebo I might set up at home, or if I was out camping for a few weeks in one spot, maybe I might set it up there. But it's basically got 2,000 watts of solar panels, so decent sort of a number, 10 kilowatt hours per day it will generate. So set this up at home, set this up out on a semi-permanent campsite. It's not a bad way to give me some pretty much instant power once I'm there.
Very cool.
So I thought that one wasn't bad. And then the third one was a Explorer 1500 Ultra, basically a rugged power station, IP65. So IP65 the 6 refers to dust, so it'll stop dust getting in. The 5 refers to water. It'll handle rain, it'll handle showers, won't handle being underwater. But that's fine. You go out camping, you're in a pretty rough environment. You want to be able to say...
Who wants to take their power pack underwater?
Well, hopefully no one, and hopefully not with this one because it won't handle it, but at least it handles the rain. So when people hear IP something, they often think, I can go swimming with it. I don't know if you want to go swimming with your power station.
I just want to be...
Always have that power.
When I want to take my lights down to look into... Canyon caves or something. I don't know.
Probably a bit too heavy to go canyoning with. But yeah, at least it can handle being out in heavy weather conditions. So that's the one. If you're a camper that says, I'm going to stay out there no matter what, whereas I'd be the camper that says, oh, a spot of rain there, let's pack up and go home.
Yeah.
But if you want to be able to handle anything, then the 1500 Ultra handles basically IP65 or is rated IP65.
It's a big space for technology, isn't it, this off-roading?
Yeah, it is. And I think people have become so accustomed to having various devices, even just a phone, which makes sense from a safety perspective.
Yep.
Having your devices with you, but how do I charge them now? That's always a challenge. But I've even seen it where I've just seen people in a park, just in a park having some lunch, for example, and they've got the little rollable solar panels. They roll out the solar panels just to charge their phone while they're sitting there having some lunch. So we are getting better at having access to that power everywhere.
For sure. For laptop users who prefer a bigger screen, this no longer has to mean a bigger, bulkier laptop anymore. Lenovo is leaning heavily into rollable screens with 2 models new to the market, and Matt, we started talking about rollable screens years ago, and it seemed a bit of an odd sort of a novelty, but Lenovo have really made it a very practical use.
They have, and we did. We talked about rollable TVs. That was years ago. I think last year we talked about Lenovo's first notebook that was a rollable screen. And so at CES they were showing off 2, and one we've talked about before. This is a slightly updated model. It's a 13.3-inch notebook. So you go, it's not too bad. It's nice and easy. Put in your backpack easy, not too heavy.
Yeah.
But 13.3-inch, I need something bigger than that. So you get to where you're going, you sit down, press the button, the 13.3-inch screen grows vertically to a 16-inch screen. So it's not too bad now. I can work with a 16-inch screen. I can live with that. So that's a nice addition. But what I really want is landscape. I really want a wider screen. Taller screen, one thing, sure.
Yeah.
But I see the world landscape.
By far and away, that's what people want.
That's right.
A bigger landscape.
We watch so many screens already landscape. Again, we see the world landscape. So landscape makes sense. So the other one they showed off at CES was a 16-inch notebook. So that's kind of a bit bigger notebook. But when you press the button, it grows horizontally to a 21.5-inch screen.
Oh, wow.
That's not too bad now.
An extra 5 inches there.
That's right. So forget about my second 7-inch screen that I travel with. 21.5-inch screen as the primary screen. Not too bad until I get my AR glasses, and then I'm right. I don't need any of these screens. But we are getting so much better with screens that fold, screens that roll, whether they be TVs or notebook screens. We used to think a TV, or going back to the old early days of TVs, it was a piece of glass, a thick piece of glass. You could throw a spanner at it, I think, and it'd bounce off it. They weren't designed to be moved in any way, shape or form. Now we're getting things that we can roll and fold. So that's quite incredible. Go back to those first TVs at that first CES back in 1967. If someone would have said then, what a old-fashioned concept this is in 67, you'll roll up that one day. People would have gone, this person is crazy.
Crazy.
As if you could roll up this thick piece of glass, what are you drinking at the moment? So we are at that point, though, now where we're getting, it's redefining what we'll consider to be a size of a screen.
Well, yeah. So when 16 inches can become 21 inches, that's not where it stops. No. You know, these get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, and smaller and smaller and smaller to start with.
Just occurred to me, why do we talk about such high-tech stuff with such an imperial measurement?
Oh, don't get me started on that.
We go and use 19th century measurements for...
we do. And the other thing about it is that it's a bit misleading. If you've got a 16-inch screen, say, that's square, that's a significantly different amount of real estate, screen real estate, to something that's a very... You could have a screen that's 1 inch high and 16 inches long. It wouldn't be quite 16 inch diagonal, but you know what I mean.
Unless you're doing teletext.
That's right. But you could measure that screen and it would measure significantly different, or it would measure similar, but we would see it significantly different to a 16-inch screen that's square. So as they change some of these screen sizes sometimes, they change the format. We get used to, say, a 16:9 ratio for a normal screen on a TV, on a wall, a normal TV on a wall, but it's not always a 16:9 ratio when we talk about notebooks. And this would be the same. If it's 16-inch screen, let's say it was 16:9 ratio on the notebook, but then it grows only horizontally, the 21.5 inch is not going to be 16:9 format.
No,
so,
it's not.
Yeah, there's got to be a better way.
But it would be enough to have at least a split screen. That'd be useful, I think.
That would be, that's right. Maybe we should just talk about screens in square centimetres. That would be more accurate. It would give us exactly the idea of how...
Wouldn't that be something?
That's right. And make them in the area, if you like, because that's really what we're considering, aren't we? We want to know how big that area is.
Yeah.
A 16-inch screen that's 16 by 1 is very much different to a 16-inch screen that's
So do we need to start that here?
Start a movement, yeah. I think we need to get going on it right now. The naming screen sensible, let me come up with an acronym, but the sensible naming of screens movement, I think we need to start right here and now.
Let's do it. Now, in a world where we're all experiencing less and less downtime, our brains are always on the go thanks to smartphones and iPads and such. There's a lot we can learn from some careful brain scanning. So one clever company has developed gaming headphones that can actually monitor what is going on in your head while you bring down the Third Reich or maybe push for glory in the European Champions League or what have you, all from the comfort of your desktop computer. Brain scanning gaming headphones, Matt. Maybe not for the conspiracy theorists, though.
Maybe not. We know that we've got brain implants, and that scares people just a little bit.
Yep.
Open up my head, stick some electrodes into my brain. What could be scary about that? What could go wrong? So maybe we need to work on other ways. And we've seen movies, TV shows for years that have shown us being able to monitor brain activity. And it basically sees a few little spikes on a graph or maybe some different colours on a screen. Mm-hmm. Look, there's a person thinking about Vegemite right now. No, we can't get it that accurate. We go, there's a person sleeping or there's a person thinking. That's about the level at this stage. But our tools are getting more sensitive and they're getting better all the time. So having over-ear headphones that can monitor brain activity without an electrode in my brain sounds fairly attractive. So that's exactly what you've got with these neurable gaming headphones. Now, they're focused on gaming because A, there's a big market there, so you can sell these products, and B, people are interested in brain activity in gaming because they want to improve reaction times. So if we can work out from a game what we're thinking about before we realise we're thinking about it, before we've made physical actions, that sounds pretty exciting. Now, at this stage, what they're doing is using it to get your brain into an optimal state, and they've been talking about getting reaction time improvements of 40 milliseconds, which doesn't sound like much, but when you're in the gaming world, 40 milliseconds can be the difference between winning and losing a game.
Yeah.
So that can be significant, but they're doing that via getting you into almost like a meditation, if you like. Here's what your brain's doing now. Let's get into this meditation state. What are you thinking about? Let's refocus on that. Let's refine that. But that's step one. How long before we've got our brain thinking, when I see that guy jump out from around those bricks on the corner, I want something to happen, but I want it to happen without me having to go through that physical motion of moving my finger on a controller. Because when my brain thinks about it, it's then got to send a signal all the way from my brain, all the way down my arm, and then I've got to physically move my muscles. This is all a long time frame here to move that little controller. Surely if I just think there's a guy there, go and get him, then that thought process can happen much quicker.
So did you say 40 milliseconds is what we're looking to improve?
That's what they've been able to show so far, but that's been via some focused brain readiness. So I'm about to play this game. I put these on. I try and get my brain in the right state. Here's what your brain's doing at the moment. Here's the thought process. Think about this. Focus, focus, focus. As they almost like that Zen-like state or meditation. So it's reading our brain activity to get our brain ready to then play the game traditionally.
It's teaching us how to use the force.
Obviously, that goes without saying. So that's all great, but I just can see the next step where just a few basic things might be able to be read from something that's very sensitive on the outside of our skull rather than having to put electrodes inside our skull. That's only to save me having something drilled into my head.
If we're going to have this, I do want Obi-Wan Kenobi's voice just sort of floating around in part of the headphone software.
It seems like it would be compulsory, doesn't it?
Making helpful suggestions. And that is all we have for our first episode for 2026. We have cracked the seal on another bumper year, Matt.
We have, and we've cracked it with some great ones. And
Yeah.
CES is always exciting. I'd love a CES every week, but of course, companies spend a year getting ready for their CES launch, so it all
them a
goes off.
break.
Yeah, that's right. Don't be so harsh on them. But I am keen to get that smart brick again. It's not out till March, but I just think that'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
I just want my Formula One car to make the noise
Make the noises.
of an electric Formula One car, maybe. It might be coming out. The new era of Formula One cars starting 2026. I don't know what they sound like yet, but I want that brick to be already knowing what they sound like and make that sound in my Formula One car.
So very, very cool. And thank you, one and all, for seeking us out yet again. Tech Talk with Matthew Dickerson is the very best way to stay up to date with the latest news in the world of technology and science. But who am I kidding? You already knew that. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. I'm your host, James Eddy, wishing you a prosperous week ahead. We hope that you can catch us again in another week's time. Don't forget, like, subscribe, and leave a comment, all that stuff, and spread the word far and wide. There is plenty for everybody to enjoy. Take care, and we'll see you again next week.